Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes. Man, we got some good college football earlier today. I'm excited that I got to watch a whole bunch of games earlier today. Some of those 12 o'clock games, some of those 3:30 games, and some of those games that came on at 1 and 2:30. I got to check out a lot of college football today, which is what I set out to do so that I can have something to talk about today while the other games are going on tonight. The game like with Alabama, Michigan, Oregon, and Texas A&M and Notre Dame. So I wanted to get on and talk about those earlier games while those games are taking place right now. So earlier today, we all got to see the Georgia Bulldogs take the heart from the Clemson Tigers. First half, it looked like Clemson was going to be able to do something defensively and stay in the game. But the start of that second half, Georgia just went off and scored 28 unanswered points against the Clemson Tigers. They really just beat Clemson down to the point it looked like Clemson just gave up. And of course, the commentators, most of what they had to talk about was the fact that Dabo Swinney does not go into the portal to get players that he needs to cover for the losses that he lost that previous season. He really needs to rethink his thinking on that because since the portal's inception, he has not started any of the players that he's gotten out of the portal. And I believe he's only taken a few, I think two last year. But those two players that he got last year, they did not start in this game. And I don't even know if they even played in the game or not. But Georgia put it on them. Carson Black back looked good. He was able to hit a lot of different receivers. That freshman running back played really well since ETN was suspended for one game. And that backup from Compton, uh, California, he balled out. He played really well. He didn't get 100 yards, but he ran hard and he ran effectively to help Georgia go ahead and pull out that victory against Clemson. So it was good to see that young man get out there and ball out. The upset of today came with Vanderbilt over Virginia Tech. Now, I was thinking about Virginia Tech being one of the better teams in the ACC. And I still think they might still be one of the better teams, but they lost to Vanderbilt, which is considered a bottom feeder in the SEC. Very good university, though. Academically, they got some other sports that they really, really, really are good in, but football just isn't one of their things. But they went out and beat Virginia Tech in overtime, 34-27. After leading Virginia Tech 17-0, Virginia Tech was able to come back and take the lead 27-20. But Vanderbilt was not be denied, and they came back and tied the game up and had a chance to win it in regulation too. But Brock Taylor missed the 43-yard field goal, so went into overtime. Of course, Vanderbilt scored, got their extra point, went up 34-27, and end up stopping Virginia Tech from scoring in overtime and beat them 34-27. Kudos to the Commanders. Way to go. I'm glad that Vanderbilt got that win because I really didn't pick them to win that game. I thought they were going to get beat down, but they pulled out a really good victory. And I'm proud of those Vanderbilt Commodores for the win that I said Commanders, but it's Commodores in that game that they won today against Virginia Tech. Another game that I thought was going to be a really good game today, and it really was not a good game. It was not a good game. Was Penn State at West Virginia. Now, I was certain that West Virginia was going to be able to hang in this game because of the weather, with all that rain, and the fact that West Virginia wants to run the football. I thought that West Virginia was going to be able to hang with Penn State, but Drew Aller balled out. And I was excited to see him pushing the ball down the field. Something that you didn't get to see him do against Michigan or Ohio State last year, which probably was the reason why they did not win those games, because they could not go down the field. Drew Aller could not make plays last year like he did in this game against West Virginia. So I'm glad that those coaches opened up that offense so that young man could throw that ball down the field. And he made some great plays today with his arm to his receivers down the field as they went on to beat West Virginia, which shocked me 34-12. I thought with all that rain and that rain delay they had that they would be able to run the ball and stick with Penn State. But that was not the case. Penn State put it on them and pulled out that 34-12 victory behind a great offensive effort and a great defensive effort. Way to go, Penn State. Iowa found an offense today. Can you believe that? As horrible as their offense was last year, Iowa put up 40 points. Now, of course, the 40 points was on Illinois State. Now, Illinois State, yeah, you should have probably dropped 50. But anyway, the fact that they were able to score 40 points means that they got something they're working on offensively, so they were able to score 40 points today, which is what we all want to see out of Iowa. We know their defense is going to be solid, but we know they got to bring an offense in order to compete in that Big Ten. And they have Ohio State on their schedule, so they are definitely going to have some offense in order to compete with Ohio State. So hopefully they can continue to find magic offensively, because their defense will keep them in games as long as their offense can produce a little bit for them. So Iowa comes out today with a 40-0 win over Illinois State. Tennessee, Santino Wade's team. And I told Santino, listen, Texas is the real UT. I know Tennessee is tough, but Texas is the real UT. But Tennessee put it on Chattanooga today, 69-3. Wow, 69-3. Ooh, I know they was mad that they gave up that field goal, because I would be mad if I was on that team and I gave up that field goal and we didn't blank them 69-0. But Tennessee, that new quarterback they got, he played really well. Now remember, it was against Chattanooga. He's going to get a chance to play some ball against some very, very, very good teams in this SEC. But he did ball out today, and he played really well for his first start as the quarterback of the University of Tennessee. And I was glad to see that they are doing some good things there in Tennessee. Hopefully they can compete with some of the teams they're going to play in the SEC this year. They don't get the real UT, but they do get some really good teams this year on their schedule in the SEC. So hopefully they can continue to ball out and get that young man some good reps so that he can be ready for those big games. Good game, Tennessee. I know you're happy about that, Santino Wade. Your boys beat Chattanooga 69-3. The other game that I was so happy that they did not suspend my man Ollie Gordon for 4 games. Ollie Gordon played today for the Oklahoma State Cowboys. He scored 2 tutties. He didn't quite get 100 yards, but he only carried the ball, I think, 12 times for 90-something yards and 2 touchdowns. I was just so glad that Oklahoma State's coach Mike Gundy didn't suspend that young man for 4 games because of what took place before summer football started, well, summer workouts started. So I was glad to see that he got to get out there and play, because their best chance of winning games is when Ollie Gordon is on that field, because he is one physical runner who can really carry the ball 25, 30 times a game and wear a defense down. Now, of course, he didn't get to do that against my Texas Longhorns last year in that Big 12 championship game, but that's another story. I'm happy Ollie Gordon got to play today, and they balled out. And Oklahoma State beat up on San Diego State 44-20. So I was glad that they got that win against San Diego State. Way to go, Ollie Gordon. Way to go, Mike Gundy, for not suspending that young man. It's a life lesson. I'm quite sure you talked to him and you got him in your office and you grabbed him up by his collar and said, listen, dude, you can't be doing that boneheaded stuff. You are going to be an NFL player making millions of dollars. You can't throw it all away doing boneheaded stuff. And I'm quite sure Ollie Gordon understood that because he went out there and balled out today. 12 carries, 90-something yards, and 2 touchdowns. Way to go, Ollie Gordon. Way to go, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Another game I want to mention is the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, listen, I know a ton of Ohio State Buckeye fans, and they were sweating bullets in that first half. I know they were. I know they were sweating bullets because they was worried about that quarterback, Will Howard, because at one time he was like 7 for 20 or something crazy like that. But then in that second half, they started balling out. And that kid from Florida, that Jermaine Smith, I think that's his name, Jeremiah Smith, man, listen, he is a beast. He's only a freshman, and he balling like that as a freshman at the wide receiver position. I know we was in the running to try to get that young man, but he chose the Ohio State Buckeyes over my Texas Longhorns, which is cool because we got solid receivers too. We ain't sweating it. We can't get them all, but he played really well, and Will Howard did start to get it together and found a rhythm in that second half, and Ohio State was able to go on to beat Akron 52-6. But they didn't cover that spread of 50. They was favored by 50.5 points, and they didn't cover that. But they did beat the snot out of Akron like they were supposed to, 52-6. So I'm glad that all my Ohio State fans got that win today. I'm glad they got a chance to stop sweating after halftime. And Will Howard and the boys, they went out there and balled out, and they got that big victory over Akron, 52-6. Good job, Ohio State Buckeyes. Oh, by the way, my Longhorns play the Buckeyes next year, 2025 and 2026. 2025 and 2026. Let's go, Longhorns. Next game I want to mention is the Miami Hurricanes, the team that I picked to win the ACC this year. They are loaded, man. They are loaded. And Cam Ward, listen, he balled out. Except for that one play that he made when he threw that interception, when he probably should have threw that ball away or tucked it and got whatever he could. But he decided to throw it anyway, and it was a bad throw, and he got it intercepted. But outside of that, he balled out. So you already know my boy, Justin Geiger, hit me right after the game and said, Brown, I told you we was going to blow them out. And I didn't think they was going to blow them out. I thought they were going to beat them, but I didn't think they were going to blow them out. But he said, Brown, I told you we was going to blow them out. Then I hit him back, yeah, you definitely told me I was going to blow them out on the interview we did last week. And then he said, listen, we loaded. I said, yeah, y'all are loaded. He said, and one guy on the defensive side of the ball, he only played 4 plays in that game. So just imagine if he had played, maybe Florida wouldn't have scored no points. But anyway, Miami went on to beat down Florida. Sorry, Andre Cray. Sorry, Larry Battles. But Miami beat up on you. I know KT, he's going to be in y'all's face next time you see. He probably ain't going to say that. He probably just going to laugh at the fact that, his Miami Hurricanes beat up on them Florida Gators 41-17. And it was good to see Cam Ward, patient back there, balling out. So I was excited to see that. Now, the game I really want to talk about It's these boys right there. Texas. Texas. I was very impressed with the poise and the leadership of Quinn Ewers in that game. He really showed the growth that he has made over the past 3 seasons, this being his third season as the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. He has really grown a lot and had total command of that offense. He made a simple mistake too, just like Cam Ward did, and got a ball tipped and intercepted when he probably should have just ran and got as much as he could get and left it at that. But he tried to make a play, and it got tipped and intercepted. But outside of that, he balled. And if any of you watch the game and you see him throw that no-look touchdown pass to Matthew Golden, that was cold. And he also threw another dime to Matthew Golden. It was almost like from one hash mark all the way to the sideline. And this throw was beautiful. So if you ever get to watch that highlights of that game, that pass was, I was like, man, that's about to get intercepted and taken all the way back for a touchdown. But that defensive back didn't get his head around, and that ball fell right in his hands for a touchdown. And I was jumping up and down happy about that. So I know that Quinn Ewers is going to have a good season this year as long as he can stay healthy, as long as he can continue to command that offense. He actually completed passes to, I think, 10 or 11 different receivers. Texas also played 6 running backs. 6 running backs, man. And Art Manning, when he got in, he had total command of the offense. He's ready in case Quinn Ewers ever goes down like he did the previous 2 seasons. Man, listen, we in good shape in Longhorn country on the 40 acres. We in good shape. I'm excited about what my Longhorns is looking like. Because, listen, we ain't had that to cheer about since last year. I mean, before last year for a long time because we hadn't been good. But they really, really, really played really well today. The defense got a shutout. I predicted that the score was going to be 52-6. Because just like I do this sports YouTube channel, I watch a bunch of other sports YouTube channels, and they're always asking us in the chat, what do we predict the score to be? And so I had picked 52-6, but we actually ended up winning 52-0, which was great because I thought it was going to end up 52-7 because they ended up getting down there in the red zone on us, but we ended up getting an interception in the end zone by the freshman Wardell Mack in the back of the end zone. So that was awesome to see that. It was awesome for us to come out of there with the win, no injuries. You know, that's what you always hope for whenever you are watching those football games, that guys don't go out with any injuries. I mean, Oklahoma lost their number 1 wide receiver, Farouk, for 6 to 8 weeks with a broken foot against the team that they played, Temple, on Friday. It's just crazy, man, that you lose guys that you need, and you lose them in games that really aren't even meaningful games, and then you don't have them for the big game. So he won't be ready for that Texas game, and they're going to need him to compete with Texas. Oh, the Buckeyes defense, I mean, heck, they held them to what? 6 points, 2 field goals. I mean, that's a solid defense. I think they got one of the best defenses in the country, son. So they balled out. So hopefully, you know, we can continue to win these games. We can continue to be solid offensively and defensively because we got a big test next week against the Michigan Wolverines in the Big House in Ann Arbor. But I really do believe that it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be a trench warfare between our offensive line and their defensive line, and then our defensive line and their offensive line. And I think that we might have a slight advantage on both parts. I really do think we got a slight advantage. Our offensive line against their defensive line, even though their defensive line is tremendous, I think that we got a slight advantage. Only because our two tackles are really good, and our center has been starting for 4 years. So that's a plus. Our weaknesses in our two guards. So I know that Michigan's defensive coordinator, he's going to try to take advantage of those two guards that we have. And if Jake Majors cannot have those, he's the center, could not have those stupid snap infractions like he had today. He had 2 snap infractions that kept us from getting touchdowns, in my opinion. I thought we definitely should have scored a touchdown, but we had to settle for a field goal. And then on our first drive, we had a chance to get a first down, and he ended up messing around with snap infraction and got us in 1st and 15 and messed us up on that drive, first drive. So, Big Cam Williams played really, really good on that right tackle position. That's a big human, man. That's a big dude. And we actually, today, Texas actually played 13 true freshmen in this game. 7 of them, they played in the first half. True freshmen. I know in an earlier video, y'all heard me talk about Ryan Wingo, the wide receiver. He was out there on the second possession, I believe, and got 2 receptions on that in that second possession in the first quarter as a true freshman. I think we played maybe 8 receivers in that game. Like I said earlier, 10 to 11 different guys caught a pass in that game. They played really, really well. A lot of them played really, really well, and I was excited to see that Sark was able to play as many players as he did, because I talked about earlier how we were going to play at least 66-plus players in this game, and we played well over that in this game. And if you watch them last 2 drives where Art Manning was out there, we had a whole different set of offensive linemen on the first drive than we had on that second drive with him. Some other guys came in and filled in some of those other positions. So we actually went maybe 13 deep on the offensive line in that game. And whenever you can do that against teams, you can really, really, really make some noise down the stretch, because you got guys who have gotten valuable reps and are able to do what they can do whenever you get them the opportunity to do so. So I just wanted to jump on real quick and talk about those things, talk about my Longhorns, talk about some of the teams that we've had that fans have come on and talked about their teams like Michigan, Ohio State. We didn't really get to talk much about Michigan because they're playing right now. And last I saw, they were up 7-0 before I started this live stream. So I'm quite sure they're probably about 14-21 by now. But they got their work cut out for them. Oh, another thing, I was really glad that Texas didn't show a whole lot offensively or defensively in this game. Just like you're going to see Michigan, they're not going to show a whole lot offensively. They're not going to show a whole lot defensively in this game, because they know they got a big game next week against Texas, so they're going to keep it as vanilla as possible. And they actually did not start Orji at the cornerback position. They started Davis Warren, the one who can throw the ball a little bit better in this game. So I wonder if that's maybe a maneuver they're going to try to do to throw Texas off and maybe start Orji next week, or maybe have a dual package for both of them. So it's going to be interesting next week when those two meet up. And I'm telling you right now, whoever win that game, they're going to be going into the rest of the season with a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence, and feeling as if they can take the world down. And I can really see that being an excellent game and coming down to the wire. And whoever winning it, probably winning it by 3 points or less, like I said in earlier videos. But I wanted to jump on real quick and talk about that. Thanks, son. Thanks, Joe, for jumping on the live stream and putting some things in the chat. So without any further delay, please subscribe to the channel. Please share the videos with your friends and family. Call them up and say, listen, check out my boy. He got a sports podcast, him and some of his homies. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe to it? It's free. People keep thinking that if you hit that subscribe button, they're going to charge you some money. It is absolutely free. They're not going to charge you any money for hitting that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button so that's the way we take attendance. That's how we know who was watching the videos, who's been paying attention to our content. So please hit that like button and also hit the bell so that you can get notifications anytime we drop a video. So without any further delay, hook 'em.